It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hey, what's everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns, the official Star Wars podcast for AIPTcomics.com. I am JJ Travers, and I'm joined this morning, as always, by Nicole Herview and Jim Lahane. Today, we're discussing Star Wars. I know it's surprising, but we're also discussing a retrospect of Talkin Tauntauns. And with us to do so for our 100th episode, we made it to triple digits. Pretty cool achievement. I'm really proud of us. Is one of the originals, the OGs. You can find him in California or in a hockey rink. He's my special little man. I also see him at New York Comic Con sometimes. He's a great guy. We love him. You know him, Mr. Connor Christiansen.
You can tell WWE was last night because JJ just basically cut me a promo. And I love it. See?
Oh my god. That's great.
Wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin Dad 316 shirt. It's incredible.
That's pretty good.
Hey guys. I was going to make another Back from the Dead joke, but then I realized, I'm like, I think I was on this show like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're more common than you think you are.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the show with Connor in a long time.
It's I did realize last time, like, I haven't talked to JJ in person, not over Discord, in months.
Yeah.
It's because you tag team. Like I could see you guys. Like you slap hands as you're switching out.
The guy gets ready for one kid, and then all of a sudden, I don't exist anymore.
Wow.
I thought I was your special boy.
You're still my special little man. Don't worry.
But no, when Jim asked me to be on, I remember like our first, maybe not our first episode, but it was our first or second. And JJ and I were talking, and Jim was like, "Don't worry, most podcasts die by like episode 12, so we just gotta make it past 12." And we were like, "We'll wait till we get to 100." And we were like, "We're not gonna make it that long." And now here we are. So
I also remember that, actually.
yeah, we were very.
We did. We made it past 12.
We did. We beat 12. Pretty good.
I'm very pleased that y'all did, because I came in at like episode 63. Something. There you go.
Wow.
I just looked it up like a couple days ago because you were wondering how long you've been on.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was like, how many?
I'm like,
episodes
when did you
have I
come
been on?
on? Because like, it was 63.
Wow. I was on a few before that, so
Yes.
Multiple generations of Talking Tauntauns and Star
all the
Wars
generations
fans.
are here. We're all here.
Yes. We will pass it on to our children.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Jim's daughter and my son and
My cat.
yeah. No, the Nicole and Connor can then become the Jim of the podcast.
Yeah, well,
Oh my God.
we will
They're in
become
trouble.
Wait a
sort of
second.
sword-like creature.
We're in trouble, man. If this is left in our hands, oh God. Oh, we'd fall apart.
So it's State of Star Wars podcast, but each episode we just break down their outfits, and it's awesome. Actually, that would be
It's
really
fashion
fun.
now. That'd be great. I'm in. I'm ready.
We talk about hair and their outfits.
Oh,
and
Lord.
nothing else. And again,
Costume design.
I would do that. That actually
Yeah, I
sounds
would do
fun.
that. I literally have you guys can't really see it right now, but I have a sweatshirt that's the Obi-Wan Mullet Fan Club.
That's amazing.
Isn't that great?
That rules.
Yeah, I was like, that's for me. So yeah, I'm very invested in the hair of Star Wars, apparently.
That's so cool.
I'd like to
It
point
is-
out.
go ahead,
I wanted to point out that Connor was so dedicated to coming on the show that he is currently sitting in his parents' garage. Because I can see the car behind him.
And the motion light also just went out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I noticed
there it
that
is.
too.
There you go. There he is.
Yeah, for the people at home, I recently my lease ended on Friday, and my new lease doesn't start till May 1st. So I am for 1 month a Ramona resident living with my parents, and I am 2 days in and loving it. It's the
Welcome
best.
home, buddy.
Are you in the
You're
basement?
back with your parents. You're back with us.
I think one of these things is a regression. One of these things is a reward. I'll let you guys decide which is which.
It's crazy that we started this podcast about 3.5 years ago, back in October of 2018. And
September,
it was very...
actually.
What's that?
September, actually. September 25th, if I recall correctly.
The post on the website says October 1st. But regardless, it was a long time ago. And it started off pretty sporadic. We were posting around like every 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Sometimes we would go a lot longer, sometimes shorter. We've done a name change. We have a wonderful new co-host with us. Connor still guests all the time, and I don't remember when it was. I think it was The Mandalorian Season 1 that we finally were like, hey, we should just try to have this come out every week. And we've done a pretty good job of making that happen since we decided to do that. We've talked to a lot of creators in Star Wars. We've had some great interviews, some great guests. We've talked about the films, comics, video games, our experiences in Galaxy's Edge. We've looked at old Legends content like Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, Legends books. We started a Star Wars book club. We've looked at fan films, animated series, live action series. We've kind of done it all over the last 3+ years here. It's really cool. Looking back, I'm just like browsing through all of the episodes, and we've covered some really cool stuff.
Question: what was the original name?
Star Wars in Poor Taste.
Very original.
Based off of...
I like Talkin Tauntauns, guys. Good job.
Yeah. Well, before AIPT was strictly AIPT, it started off like 10 years ago as Adventures in Poor Taste, and then rebranded just to AIPT. But yeah, Talkin Tauntauns is an infinitely better name.
And I think, if I recall correctly, when we were first coming up with name ideas, I pitched like 9 pod racing puns. I was like, okay, what if it's This Is Podcasting? Fine. What if it's the Boonta Eve Classic Podcasting? Like, just all of them was, okay, what if we just do podcasting on Malastare?
So we had...
See, this is the problem. Because if I were involved... The name absolutely would have been "This Is Podcasting."
I don't know if that's an actual podcast or like the tagline of somebody's podcast.
Someone's got to take it.
It's absolutely a tagline of somebody's podcast. It's got to be a podcast too.
It's got to be.
It's not a very good pun, but
it is.
I want it. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's bad, but it's also amazing.
I absolutely love it.
I remember we had Star Wars in Poor Taste, and after a little while, we weren't gaining the traction that we wanted, and I felt the name, and you guys agreed with me, the name felt like a negative connotation for the show.
Yeah.
And that's not what we were, nor was it what we wanted to present ourselves as, and so that's why...
It's never been like that.
Yeah, and so we wanted to completely rebrand the show. Same content, but better name. And so I came up with a bunch. I know you guys came up with a bunch, and we landed on the Talkin Tauntauns because I love alliteration.
I was gonna say we're the alliteration boys. We just love some good alliteration. And now because of that, I stop and look at all Tauntauns related merchandise.
Me too.
And I just am like, I should probably get this.
Yep, I got my boy right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jim sent me a magnet that is now, it sits on my my comic cabinet, and it's what signifies my Star Wars drawers, the one with the Tauntaun magnet on it.
Aw.
It's on my fridge.
It's on my fridge.
I think that is a perfect segue to a giveaway.
Oh, I didn't even know we had one.
Go on.
Yes, we have a giveaway.
He loves a good segue.
Yeah, I love a good segue.
It's a segue to a giveaway, a seg give.
I've never ridden on a Segway, but I guess they're cool.
Yes. So we have a giveaway, and we are going to give away one of those Regal Robot Tauntaun little magnet sculptures. About, I'd say it fits in the palm of your hand. It's not small, but it's not like ginormous either. But it is absolutely fantastic. I think it's Hans Tauntaun.
I think so, yeah.
because they specifically released the other Tauntaun at one of their convention exclusives, and so I know it is one of those specific ones. But wanted to give it away to one of our fans, and so I'd say we give a till May the 4th. Give everybody a solid month to enter if they like. And you can enter by sending us a DM on Twitter or an email. Our Twitter is @Talkin Tauntauns. Our email is talkintauntauns@aiptcomics.com. And all you need to do is, I would say, send in, I'd like to enter for a Tauntaun 100th episode. That's really long. How about you just title
Make
it
it longer.
Just make it 100th episode giveaway.
100th episode giveaway.
There you go.
And I would put in your mailing address into the message so that I don't need to find out where you are if you were to be winning. That would make things a lot easier for me. So there, 100th episode giveaway at Twitter, our Twitter DM, or our email.
I hope Tom Spina wins. Be very funny to me. He's like, hey, I designed this thing, and now it's being sent to me.
I
And
would
he just
also
adds
really
it
like
back.
that.
Adds it back into his stock.
Yeah, just takes it, just picks it up and brings it home, and that's it.
Also, I want to point out that I too wanted to find out whose Tauntaun it was, and I do. It might be Hans, I don't know, but I did cut it open and smell it, and it doesn't smell any different. So, inconclusive.
Thanks for doing the science, though. I appreciate that.
I'm nothing but dedicated to the craft of science.
I will tell you what, I was trying to think about what my first episode was, and I can't remember which one it was. I don't know if it was trivia or if it was the Phantom Menace or I don't.
It was
what
before
was it?
trivia. It was before the
Right.
Phantom Menace.
What was it? What was I doing?
Your first hosting, your first guest.
Guest.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. For some reason I thought it was trivia.
Had to be. I think it was. It was before that. It was Resistance Reborn.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh yeah. That was back before I would read the books.
Yeah.
You've come a long way, buddy.
The show
Little
notes say
Tauntaun's context.
we welcome our first honorary Tauntaun, Nicole, on this episode of Talkin Tauntauns.
Wow. Look at me go.
So that was
What number was that, Jim?
It doesn't say age for some reason. I love our server.
I just remember that was a really good one. And then you were kind enough to ask me back to do trivia, and I absolutely bit it. I ate it. It was atrocious. It was a bad day for me. But this is before I had really gotten into the books, before I had seen Clone Wars. There's a lot of Star Wars that I had not consumed at that point, and I feel confident that if we did trivia again, I'd do better. But
Wow.
I embarrassed myself in front of Holly, I believe, and I was like,
Yep.
I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna leave forever.
Episode 18.
Great.
You just threw the gauntlet down, pal. I think that means we're going to have to do another trivia episode.
Listen, you know what? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I feel like I'll do better.
Okay.
I remember the trivia episode with David Brooke, the managing editor at AIPT or whatever his title is, the review legend, the man himself. He had, when he did trivia with us, he had just reviewed this collection of Star Wars comic strips. Not even the Marvel comics, but the Sunday comic strips.
I remember this.
And he had 10 trivia questions based off that.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, no one is reading that but you.
I knew what most of them were.
I was going to say, but I think Jim got a couple of them right.
I'll tell you what. I'll let you in on a secret. All the questions I'm bringing are going to be about Christmas in the Stars. Every single one.
I remember
What do you get a Wookiee for Christmas when he doesn't
When he already has a comb.
when he already owns a comb?
So good. It's so stupid.
Yeah, the trivia stuff's always fun. It's always a winner.
It was, yeah.
You know what else is fun? I saw my friend last night at my buddy's house for night one of WrestleMania. Night 2's tonight. Going back. Can't wait. But a friend of mine knows that I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and he works for a video game publisher that I'm not going to mention, and he brought me this.
Oh.
The Skywalker saga of Lego Star Wars, which
How
doesn't come
fun.
out until the 5th, and we were recording on the 3rd.
Look at you. I don't think I've
You
ever looked
bitch.
forward to a Lego Star Wars game before, let
I
alone as
can't
much as I'm
wait.
looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
The other versions were so fun. They are not made for gamers. They are made for really the ungamers, like people like me who just want to have fun and play the game. And
They're they're super fun. Like I've played them. I've played them all. Sorry, people can't see me at home, but I have to violently wave my arms to get the light back on. There it is. But no, they are super fun games. They just like I was always just like, yeah, whatever. I'll buy them when they're like $5 and I'll play them for an afternoon and never think about it again. But this one has been like, not only does it look like the best Lego Star Wars game, it's like this kind of looks like the best Star Wars game we've gotten in decades.
We've also been talking about it since like episode 1.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for about 4 years now.
Yeah, this
It
thing,
looks really fun.
this got delayed a lot. But man, I remember I don't remember where or when we got our first look at this, but I remember seeing the trailer and there were so many moments that I was like, this is going to be amazing. And they're always really fun. And the fact that this covers every film, yeah, I cannot wait to play this. I'm super busy today. Once the podcast is over, I immediately have to go do more stuff, and then I have WrestleMania tonight. But tomorrow, I don't start work until 11 on Monday, so tomorrow morning, me and this guy,
You don't start working until 11 on Mondays? That's good to know.
just one day.
We're recording Mondays now.
Oh boy.
Texting nonstop
I
starting
will
at 8
be
a.m.
working. I will 100% be working on Monday morning. I work with mainly people in the UK, so most of my day happens before noon. Yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, right now I'm streaming.
Why does the UK get up so early?
You know what? It has something to do with hemisphere nonsense. I don't know. I can't make a joke. Their breakfast is good. Their breakfast is good. So they wake up for the breakfast, I guess.
But if the Earth is flat,
Oh boy.
Has to do
Listen.
with Gulf streams and chemtrails and whatnot, delineating
And
the
stuff.
timeline, and it's fine.
They're British. They do it. I don't know. But I'm currently streaming Banjo-Kazooie right now, and I have one stream left of that game. And then next, my plan is to move into Lego Star Wars.
Nice. That's a great plan.
'Cause I think it'll be really delightful to stream that game. So you just helped me with my next plan.
I just love that it took Lego Star Wars to finally get a like fully fledged open world Star Wars game set in the movies. Like obviously we have Jedi Fallen Order, which is open world esque, but like this is like no, like you can run around as Luke Skywalker and go wherever you want. Like awesome, that's amazing.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Can't wait.
We should probably get to some of the stuff that we planned today.
We're doing the retrospective,
Yeah, I was
my
gonna-
dude.
look at
This
us,
is
we're
it. We're
reminiscing.
in it.
Well, I know,
been there.
but we have 40 minutes left, and I think one of the things we plan to do will take a substantial amount of that time, and we can reminisce at any point during this. I just think we should at least get the film rankings done.
Okay, let's share our rankings, my guys.
I am
Connor.
a little disappointed that we are doing this before we redo The Rise of Skywalker, because that could
yes.
impact my ranking, because right now,
It won't for me.
right now it's pretty well set, or I know exactly where it's going, but I don't know, like, rewatching Solo did adjust my ranking of that one, and like the
Hopefully
Phantom
for the
Menace
better.
yes, definitely. Like,
Love that film.
the problem is that you have like a set of like all these movies are great, some are a little greater than the others, like, and then these movies are not as great as the other ones. It's not like Star Trek where you could easily go, yeah, that one's terrible. And that one's terrible, and that one's terrible, and just kind of weed out half of them.
I think there should be a preface to this that, for me at least, I won't speak for all of us, but I don't dislike any of these movies. Like,
Yeah, me too.
I'm one of those people that if you say let's watch Star Wars, I don't go, whoa, which one? I'm just like, yeah, sure, whichever one you want to turn on. I love them all. I just love some more than others.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And also my ranking is very much my favorites and not necessarily best to worst. Like, it's quality is one of the things I'm looking at when I'm ranking these, not the only thing. Storytelling, quality, execution, those are elements of my ranking, but not the only elements. You know what I mean?
This is
So
Nicole,
if they have an execution,
How well it's executed, my guy.
how well
the
they
ideas are
execute
executed.
the
Correct.
the
and that's
Right.
why
How
Revenge,
well they execute the execution.
that's why Revenge of the Sith is number 1.
Right.
Attack of the Clones is number 2.
The Last
how do we
Jedi
wanna-
almost had an execution. They do have executioners.
Yeah, it's
They
close.
do. They do.
How do we want to do this? Do we want to just go one by one? Each person do like from 11
Yeah.
to one by one?
Yeah, I say why not?
Sure.
All right.
You're our
Because
guest,
otherwise
Connor.
it'd get really confusing.
It gets
Yeah.
so confusing. Like, here's our definitive rankings and why. Go on.
Let me defend them. All right.
Yes.
Well, I'll keep it quick with the first one. Number 11 for me is Attack of the Clones.
You're starting at the
You're
bottom.
starting at the bottom.
Oh yeah, I want to work my way up to get
Oh,
to the
okay.
top.
Go on. I'm going to do the other way, but that's fine.
I'll make it really, really quick. Attack of the Clones, I think, is I would say like 2/3 a good movie. The opening 20 minutes is maybe not 2/3, but like maybe a third of it is a very good movie. The opening 20 minutes is awesome. It's a great chase scene, and obviously the ending battle sequence is great, and everything between Obi-Wan and Jango and Kamino is wonderful. But then the rest of the movie about the love story is just bad. We talked about it when we did the review. It's just so uncomfortable. So again,
I'd like to
obviously-
point out this is Connor being quick. He's still on his first one.
Yeah. Well, I'm almost done. Yeah. It's just it's great for the memes, great for the memories. Has amazing fight scenes, but overall, it's just a dull, hard to get through movie. I love it, but I don't love it as much as any of the other Star Wars movies. So number 11, Attack of the Clones for me.
And keep going, my guy.
Keep
You're going
going.
through
Get
your
to-
whole ranking.
Oh, we'll go through the whole ranking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're doing, go for it.
My bad. Number 10, The Phantom Menace. Again, it has its moments. The pod racing scene is obviously like my absolute favorite of all the prequels. But
We're going to fight.
I actually don't have, from everything else up, I don't have that much negative to say. It's more of just like, oh no, I just like the other ones more. But and also The Phantom Menace deals too much with politics. Like, once you like try to dive into like, okay, what's actually being put into place here, you realize like, this is supposed to be a kids movie, yet is all about trade disputes and a trade embargo launching a civil war or a galactic civil war that is also like being manipulated by this evil human. So yeah, that's a tricky movie. Number 9, I'm gonna get yelled at by a lot of people for this one. Revenge of the Sith. Again, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, but there's so many. I'm getting glared at. JJ is going to fall into his computer. It's not for story reasons that I dislike it. It's just every time I watch it, I'm like, God, I wish somebody had told George Lucas, like not everything on screen needs to be CGI'd. But again, there's so many phenomenal moments in the movie that I don't dislike it. It's just I think it's just a lesson in like just because you can doesn't mean you should, especially when it comes to computer generating things. But also it's a very, very good movie. I just think also that the turn from Anakin to Darth Vader is very sudden in that movie too. Still good. Number 8, The Rise of Skywalker. It's weird. I have weird feelings about this movie. I think as if it were its own movie, not connected to any other movies, it'd be fine. But as a finale, it like just doesn't really nail it. I still cry every time I watch it. So there's that. Gets me right in the feels. But I feel like they wrote it to simply make fans happy. and I think that's very apparent in the movie. So I like it, but it's one of those movies that I always tell people, I'm like, I love it. I think it's a great time. I would never call it a good movie because it has so many glaring holes and it's rushed and it's disappointing, but I still love it. Number 7, Return of the Jedi. The reason this is so low, has obviously amazing scenes, iconic. However, I cannot stand the fact that the Empire was defeated by Ewoks, and the Ewoks were included to sell toys. George Lucas obviously made bank off of that, but I just think it's a really anticlimactic way to end the Galactic Civil War, or start to end it, if you've read the Expanded Universe stuff and you realize that the war didn't end there.
Connor Schweet's gonna get cut out eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's controversial. It's controversial.
Mine is just as controversial, so I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
And I know this wasn't added until the special editions, but the music number off the top it's cool, but it's so out of place. Like the music number in Jabba's palace, just like what just happened. So again, I like it, but it's just there's too much weirdness in that movie for me to really love it. Number 6, The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is a movie that I start to enjoy more and more each time I watch it. But the scenes that I don't like in that movie, I start to dislike more. It's just the scenes that I do like, I start to like a lot more. I think The Last Jedi has one of the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars. When Kylo and Rey take down Snoke's guards. I think that's a wonderful scene. And really any time Rey and Kylo and Luke are interacting is amazing. Like they have such incredible on-screen chemistry, and it's just gripping scenes. But then I think the Canto Bite stuff kind of like slows the movie down quite a bit. Yeah, and I think it has a little bit of pacing problems, but otherwise I think it's a movie that it will get better and better with time. Number 5, Solo. It's not a Talkin Tauntauns episode if we don't talk lovingly about Solo. Solo did not get the love it deserved in the theaters or by anybody. It is everyone I know who has watched it, who missed it when it came out in theaters, has been like, I can't believe I didn't see that. That movie was awesome. It's like, yeah, it's like one of the best Star Wars movies. It's super fun. Alden Ehrenreich like slips into Han Solo so quickly. Phoebe Waller-Bridge as L3 is like a scene stealer. And also, I mean, Childish Gambino, Donald Glover as Lando is perfect casting. So Solo is just wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about Solo. Number 4, The Force Awakens. I know it's just a rehash of A New Hope, but it's a really, really entertaining and really good rehash of A New Hope. And it even though the Skywalker saga or the Rise of Skywalker kind of like fumbled the ending of the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens kicked it off so well, introduced so many great new characters that we still love today. It's a movie that I think is like endlessly rewatchable, and it's crazy entertaining. And I mean, Han Solo's death scene still gets me every time. It's phenomenal. Number 3. And this is where I'm going to get passionate. Rogue One. Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie to come out since Empire Strikes Back, and I hate it when people talk bad about it. It's not just a good Star Wars movie, it's a phenomenal movie. It is, first of all, the first Star Wars movie that is a full-blown war story. It's nothing like this is about the grunts on the front line and how the war really got going. And you don't have to worry about being tied to the characters because you pretty much know from the beginning, like, hey, they're all going to die probably. And it just rolls so effortlessly into the original film so perfectly. If you watch them back to back, it's just, I mean, it's what I've described as the prequel film we all wanted. Fantastic movie. Number 2, Empire Strikes Back. I think this is, 1 or 2 for a lot of people. Empire Strikes Back is, just incredible. What can you say about it? High stakes drama. It's, a long chase scene, but a really good chase scene. And has, the most iconic line in film history, "No, I'm your father." So just the best. And then number 1, my favorite movie of all time, Star Wars, also known as A New Hope. I have seen this movie close to 100 times. I laugh like a schoolboy every time I see it. I grin like an idiot. It is my favorite movie. I think people underestimate how funny it is. Like, there are so many incredible jokes in the prison break scene on the Death Star. I think is like legitimately one of the funniest movie scenes ever. Like,
I agree with you.
I know I've talked about it on the show before, But something I didn't catch till I was older is when Han yells, "Oh no, he's loose." He's yelling that about Chewie as he's throwing a blaster to him. So he goes, "Oh no, he's loose," and throws him a gun. Just everything about that movie. I mean, it's iconic for a reason. It is still holds up, 50 years later. It's just a perfect movie. I have no complaints. I love it so much. I'm probably going to watch it today. It's phenomenal. And then for those wondering, Star Wars Clone Wars is number 12 because that movie doesn't count.
Right.
And
I do agree.
There. Time. How fast was
Good
that?
job, buddy. That was like 10 minutes.
I think your
pretty good.
soapbox gave up holding you up.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
I think you did a really nice job of going through those quickly and making your points. That your points about Rogue One. I talked a lot about that on the episode we covered Rogue One, about the type of film it is and how it's really the only Star Wars film that drills down into the fact that it's about war. And I couldn't agree more. I absolutely love that film.
That's why I'm so excited for Andor.
So nice job, buddy. Nicole,
Nice.
Jim, either of you want to go next?
I'll go next because I'm controversial as hell and I want to get it over with. I'm going to start from the top. Everyone knows what I'm about to say. I'm going to say it anyway. Number 1's The Phantom Menace. Cue the booze. That's fine. I don't
Everyone
care.
here knows you and knows that's your choice.
Yeah.
You're
I
safe here.
wrote an entire article about why. So I'm not going to really get into it. It's art. It's high art. I'll fight you. I love Phantom Menace. Okay.
Art, ever heard of it?
Like, for real though? No, I think the best duel in all of Star Wars, Duel of the Fates, is also the perfect soundtrack to that duel. Dave Filoni explains it perfectly. Go listen to him talk about it. Darth Maul. Okay? It's fun. That movie's fun. Fight me. Okay? It's also the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. So, very important to me. 2 and 3, I went back and forth several times. But I landed on number 2 being The Last Jedi. Cue the booze again. I don't care. I think it's great. We just talked about it. You could go listen to our episode about it. And there I will describe why I love it so very much. I won't repeat myself because I won't. 3, Rogue One. For the exact same reasons Connor just said. Great.
This is
Chef's
a Rogue
kiss.
One podcast now.
This is a Rogue One fan cast. What's up? 4, Return of the Jedi. I love it. I don't care. I like the Ewoks. I think it's iconic. I think it's solid as hell. I think it's endlessly rewatchable. There's so much going on. Leia has some of her best character moments in this movie. Just really good all around. 5, Revenge of the Sith. Is everyone mad yet? I'm going to keep going.
Revenge of the Sith's amazing.
It really is. That's number 5 for me. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I think it's a great end to the prequels. I think for a lot of people, if you even hate the prequels, you like that movie. It's solid all around. 6 is Empire. Because that's where it goes. I can't explain to you why, but that's where it goes for me. I like the movie. I see all these redeeming qualities of it. It is not fun for me to watch. So even though it's objectively a good movie, again, we've talked about this recently, I don't enjoy watching it as much as the other ones I've just mentioned. I don't go to it over and over and over again. Yeah, it's great. I'm tired of talking about how great it is. That's where I'm at with that. 7's A New Hope. Yes, it's all the way down there. I love how much you love it, Connor, and like you almost made me want to change the rankings a little bit. Shut up, JJ. It's got a ton of flaws, and a lot of the continuity issues come from this movie. Is it still delightful as hell? Yes, of course it is. It is so much fun to watch. I love this Obi-Wan, but like I hate watching Obi-Wan like die, so that's difficult for me. But yeah, it's fun, it's funny, it's a great movie. Unfortunately, it's like right in the middle for me. I just love other movies more. That's just how that shook out. 8 is The Force Awakens, probably because it's just not as good A New Hope. So it comes right after A New Hope. 9 is Solo. Not because I don't love it. I love all of these movies. I just, again, like the other ones more. And we've talked about how team Solo we are. But yeah, I love it. It's just, this is where it fell for me. Attack of the Clones is number 10, similarly. There's too much bad to say about that movie. But like you said, the beginning and the end, A+. If I could just watch that last battle scene with, you know, our little, like, animal friends and, you know, Obi-Wan, you know, seeing Padme and Anakin be dragged into, like, the Colosseum, and he's like, what the hell are you doing here? And Anakin's like, coming to rescue you, master, and he just goes, good job. It's like my favorite joke ever. I laugh still to this day thinking about it. I think it's great, but alas, it's number 10 because of everything else, because of the rest of it. And 11, I have Rise of Skywalker because I've only watched it once and I haven't had the guts to watch it again. I saw 5 minutes of it yesterday and was like, I should rewatch that, and I will. But it was too disappointing for me to call it a favorite. It's definitely my least favorite. Maybe on a rewatch, this will all change. It is very possible that it will skyrocket through my rankings after I rewatch it, but I just haven't been compelled to rewatch it again, and that's why it's at the bottom of my list.
It's funny. First of all, very controversial, as promised. But as you were talking about Attack of the Clones again, I remembered that every time I watch it, for the first, 20 minutes, I'm always like, why am I so harsh on this movie? This movie's great. Like, this opening's wonderful. And then after the opening chase, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why I'm harsh on this movie.
Yeah, that's why. It's like, it just hurts my brain every time I watch it.
All right.
But I know people who that's their favorite movie. And I'm like,
People
good
love it.
for you. Like, go on. I love that for you.
Honestly,
just
I
not
think
mine.
the only quote-unquote wrong rankings are the people who go, well, I only rank 6 of them because to me there's only 6 Star Wars movies. Fine. You suck.
Yeah, a little bit.
Other than that, there are no wrong rankings.
Right.
All right. It's my turn. I only
Except for
ranked
Jim's.
6 of them.
And guess what? None of them are the trilogy movies.
Number 1, The Last Jedi. I sincerely love this movie. I loved rewatching it. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love Luke where he is in it because I feel for him. And I love everything that's there. It's we talked about it. I had my problems with it, but still didn't take away from me loving it. Number 2 was my old number 1 before The Last Jedi came out. Return of the Jedi, and almost entirely hinges on the very end of that movie of Luke with Vader. Like that, like the interaction of Luke with Vader and Palpatine and the very end where Luke's taking off his helmet. There could be complete garbage before that part, and that entire scene will save it for me, mostly because I grew up with that movie. Like that is entirely nostalgia. Putting it in number 2 place. So, I don't really care. Number 3 would not have been number 3 before our rewatch. So this one did get moved up, and that is The Empire Strikes Back. I did like it a lot more than I used to. Growing up, I just did not like Empire. It was not written for like a kid movie. It's more of an adult movie. Where like the first and the third movies blew things up. This one, it's a lot slower, lot less big booms. But it has AT-ATs, it has Tauntauns, and so it's number 3. Anything with Tauntauns gets a bump. Rogue
the
One.
only movie with Tauntauns, I believe.
It is.
The only one.
Rogue One is my number 4. That movie is really good. I did really enjoy it. Revenge of the Sith is number 5. Then we have the original Star Wars down at number 6. And that's mostly because it's just not as fun as the other ones. It does have problems. It is a good movie, but it's probably one that I've seen so much it kind of wears down. It's like when you listen to a song over and over and over again, eventually you don't want to listen to that song anymore. Like anything that's played on the radio, I tend to skip past. Then I have Solo at number 7, which I did really enjoy. That one got moved up on my list. But these are all still like in my good category. I have literally a line on my paper that goes, everything above this line is good. Everything below this line I could do without. Number 8 is episode 1. And number 9 is episode 7 at the bottom of my above line category. 7, I did really enjoy it on our rewatch, and I really enjoyed it when it first came out. But it still is, it's a lot weaker than the other movies. And it's an enjoyable movie. I still liked it, but it's better than the bottom 3 on my list. So at number 11 is episode 2. As you guys said, for me, it's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that it's not enjoyable. It's just boring. Like I like what you're right. Once you get past that beginning part, I love everything with Obi-Wan on Camino. Love it, absolutely love it. But it's just a slow movie, and it's you find yourself scrolling a lot. Like, what's going on the internet? Because this movie's not keeping my attention. Number 11, the Clone Wars movie, because that shouldn't have been a thing.
You mean that collection of 4 episodes that they released theatrically?
Oh, yeah. Which is not a movie. And yet it still ranks above my number 12th entry, which is the only movie I've ever walked out, only Star Wars movie that I've ever walked out angry at. And that's The Rise of Skywalker. And like we said, I've only watched it once. I've only watched it in the theater. We're going to do our rewatch probably within the next month. Which I'm moderately looking forward to, because I do need to rewatch it. It just, I think a lot of the decisions that were made in that movie, I've come to grips with now. And so that won't hinder my appreciation of the movie, hopefully. So, but we'll see. All on you, JJ.
Good list.
I do one thing about the slowness of Attack of the Clones that I remember is I remember when we did the rewatch, I made notes of every cut, like every time they cut to a new scene. There is not a scene in that movie that is longer than like 2 minutes. Every single scene is so short. They do like 15 seconds and then they cut across the galaxy, and then they do 30 seconds and cut across the galaxy. It is, for a movie that is so slowly paced, it has so many cuts. It's insane. Anyway, sorry, JJ.
It's an editor's nightmare.
It has to be. It's like cool, that scene of Bohemian Rhapsody. It's rough.
Well, George Lucas is the editor. That was his initial job. Like, that's where he came into movie making, was as an editor.
I will say to George, because I know he's listening. I will say to George what I would say about all of the movies after Empire, which is too much, do less.
Which George?
Yeah.
Like what George do you think's listening?
All the Georges.
Every George. Listen, editing.
Curious.
Editing is important. Editing is important. It's like every time I watch, and I mean this in the way of like trimming stuff down, taking stuff out. It's like when I watch MasterChef, for example, and the Gordon Ramsay in particular is like, you need to learn editing because there's too much on the plate. That's literally like how I feel about George Lucas.
Simple, yeah.
Period. That's how I feel about George Lucas. End of sentence. Go on, JJ. Let's hear it.
All right. Number 1.
We doing top down or bottom up?
He's starting at the top.
You guys all did, except for Connor, top down, right?
Connor's broken.
What's up?
That's
from the
mean.
bottom.
I'll start
Now he's here.
I'll start from the top as well. That's where I was planning on starting. The Empire Strikes Back. I think it is, the ultimate Star Wars film. It really is so iconic for so many reasons. The Vader Luke moment, Luke's training with Yoda, the first big military engagement between the Alliance and the Empire. Whereas in A New Hope, we just kind of had that, surprise attack, that strafing run. But we saw elements of ground forces, air forces, the space battle. This movie is like Leia and Han steal the show with their acting. It's just like start to finish. There's so many amazing moments. There's just so much to love here. And at the end, you're just every time blown away by it, and you feel like I kind of feel like Luke and Leia looking into that like galaxy or nebula or whatever the thing is that's never been explained. Like it's just this feeling of wonder. Like I can't believe what could happen next. And that movie still makes me feel this way. Like, 30 however many years later or however long it's been since I first saw it.
40.
I love it. Next for me is A New Hope. It's where it all started. I'm with Connor. I think this movie is hilarious. The tone is very different from The Empire Strikes Back, and it's so funny. I still laugh at it. I can recite the movie line by line, but it still makes me laugh hard every time. And you just have, the introduction to all this majesty and wonder that is Star Wars. And I still get so excited every time I start it up. Number 3, Return of the Jedi. I love the space battle. It's my favorite space battle, I think, in all of Star Wars, with Rogue One's being a very close second. We have Luke and Vader's scenes together at the end, which are some of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. It's like the ultimate, like, this is what it means to be a Jedi. Luke, like, realizing that and facing his destiny without fear. It's just like one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars. And finally seeing the redemption of Anakin Skywalker. You can't beat it. 4, Revenge of the Sith. I think it's the best film of the prequel trilogy. It's so sad. The acting is really, really good. You have arguably the greatest lightsaber duel of all time. And it's just a heartbreaking film. Like, it still makes me really sad every time I watch it. It starts off with like one of the best opening sequences in all of Star Wars. And yeah, love it. Number 5, Solo: A Star Wars Story. So this film does not need to exist, but it does. And the story they tell is not like pivotal to Star Wars, but it's just so much fun. I think this is like one of the most fun Star Wars movies to watch. I love the actors. I think this movie is criminally underrated and got the worst treatment that it did not deserve because of the timing of when it was released and because of the backlash the franchise was still seeing from The Last Jedi at the time. I love this movie. I love the actors. I think they all deserve another chance, and I'm hoping we get to see that with Donald Glover in his Lando Calrissian series. We haven't really heard a single thing about that, so I really hope it's still happening. But yeah, I absolutely love this film. It makes me so happy every time I watch it because it's just like a fun adventure flick. And it's just something I use to cheer myself up sometimes when I need it. It's like endlessly rewatchable. Rogue One. As Connor said, and as I complimented him on, I think this film's amazing because it gives us a very real look at the war part of Star Wars. It's not pretty. It's like shows the really dark side of this universe when it comes to this conflict. And it doesn't involve any Force users or super powerful beings and crazy...
Till the very end.
Well, that doesn't count. It has nothing to do with, like, the main characters. And that's why I love it. It's because it's this hugely important piece of history from the Skywalker saga that has nothing to do with Jedi or Sith, and that's a big reason why I love it. And I thought Felicity Jones and somebody help me out.
Diego Luna.
Thank you. I thought they killed it. Yeah, love this movie. Number 7, The Phantom Menace. The more I rewatch this, the more I like it. And I should note that I'm still at the point in my rankings where I consider all these great movies. The more I come back to The Phantom Menace, the more I like it. Nicole, you've been helpful with that, but I feel like the more I examine it, the more I find to enjoy with this film.
I'm happy I could be part of that. That is my brand, and I'm successful, and that's all. Go on.
Number 8, Attack of the Clones. As Connor said, like the first like third to half of this movie, it's awesome. There's a lot of good stuff here. But the love story, like, we don't need that in this film. I don't think that the majority of Star Wars fans wanted it. I know this one didn't. I would have much preferred that they focused more on the conflict and Anakin's development as a Jedi, but that's not what we got, and that's okay. I'll always have this movie is special to me because of seeing Yoda pull out his lightsaber for the first time at midnight in a movie theater with a bunch of other rabid Star Wars fans is one of the coolest Star Wars memories I have, because everyone was screaming and on their feet, and it was amazing. The Last Jedi. A lot of credit to Rian Johnson for completely upending people's expectations and making one of the most visually beautiful Star Wars films in the Skywalker saga. It is, and just plain, just total Star Wars films. The movie is gorgeous. As I think Connor said, the fight scene with Rey and Kylo against the royal guards in the throne room was unbelievable. Jim and Connor, whatever. Yeah, and killing Snoke, that was a moment that everyone was like, oh, holy crap, I did not see that coming. So I think Rian Johnson deserves a lot of credit for stepping into a super difficult situation for a lot of reasons and delivering a film that like completely upended expectations and was utterly stunning visually. I strongly disagree with some of the storytelling decisions that he made, but I think the larger issue was out of his hands and the fact that Disney greenlit a trilogy and didn't plan it out ahead of time and just started making it without a plan. I have The Force Awakens at number 10. I like this movie when I don't think about the rest of Star Wars. There's a lot of stuff to like here. But I get upset when I think about the fact that J.J. Abrams could have done anything, and literally anything, and he ripped off A New Hope and just was like, all right, we're going to flip the reset switch again on Star Wars. And I don't think that's entirely his fault, because I just think it's absolutely insane that Disney had a chance to make 3 new movies with the big 3 original actors and do anything, and they were just like, yeah, just make a film and let's just wing it. Let's just wing the most important franchise in history, and I will never understand that decision. And last and absolutely least, The Rise of Skywalker. I've only seen it once. I don't know that I ever want to see it again. The most disappointing and upsetting Star Wars film I've ever seen. I get angry at J.J. Abrams, but again, I don't know how much of it is his fault, because Disney allowed him and Rian Johnson to do 2 completely different things. So he was screwed no matter what. But I also think that the storytelling in this movie is just absolutely horrible. And I really, really, really do not like this film. I think it's the only Star Wars film that I straight up really don't like. And that is my list.
Your points on Disney's overall, and we all just heard my rankings. I don't dislike any of the sequel movies, but I wholeheartedly agree how mind-blowingly insane it is that they didn't, after all the success they had with Marvel, where everything was meticulously planned, they didn't think, hey, we should probably have one person write all 3 of these movies first, and then let's go forward with it. Because that is the biggest problem. I think the trilogy would have been 1,000 times better had you just had either Rian Johnson do all 3 or have J.J. Abrams do all 3. Like, just simply because the vision would have been the same. But what you get instead is you get this first movie that is like wild and fun, is a rehash of the original trilogy, but you know, it was a fun rehash. And then you have the second movie, which is tonally completely different, is a fantastic movie. And then you have the third movie, which just feels like J.J. Abrams trying to do anything to make you, the viewer, happy, and in doing so, just pissed almost everybody off, except for like me and 37 other people.
It must have been like the absolute worst position to be in. Like, I can't imagine the pressure that he was under, and I wouldn't have wanted that job at that point. But if I could give the job to one of the two, it would be Rian Johnson without a second thought. And I hated some of the decisions that he made, but he was clearly, his vision and storytelling was clearly far superior to J.J. Abrams.
He definitely had, like when we talked in the episode, he had I assume he had a plan for where his story was going. And yeah, it was one of those like, yeah, we're not sure where this is going to go. So, but
I don't know if you guys have ever looked into the making of The Rise of Skywalker 2, but there's a very troubling and I think hilarious little statement that Daisy Ridley has made that like she was like, "Oh yeah, we didn't know who Rey's like family was going to be until we were like halfway through shooting." Like they were still like some days I was told we were going to make her Kenobi. Other days I was told she was going to be an actual Skywalker. Like they eventually were like, Palpatine, that'll be cool. Like, so
That sounds about right.
yeah,
I still
and you
think
can tell in the movie that they
Yeah,
didn't know.
that sounds right.
I still think they should have gone with their idea that she would be Rey Warwick, or a Wicket's cousin.
And that would
Dear God.
officially tie it into the what's the magic movie he's in? Help me
Willow.
out. Thank you. It would officially tie it to the Willow universe. Yeah, but again, I want to reiterate what I said at the top. For me, I like all of these movies. Like all of them I want to watch, and including The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I've seen it 7 times. Probably go watch it again. What you said, JJ, about The Force Awakens, about how you like it if you just like try to push out the fact that there's any other movies around it. That's how I feel about The Rise of Skywalker. If I go into The Rise of Skywalker and watch it as like there are no other movies before this, I think it's a somewhat enjoyable movie and it's a lot of fun. But then when you're like, oh, but this is supposed to be the finale of an 8-movie story, that's when you're like, hey, kind of missed a few things here. But, you know, I still enjoy it. Now, we're getting into ranking every season of television next, right?
Yeah, correct. No.
Okay, starting with the
think
top,
we
final season
wanna,
of Rebels.
We want to have our recommendations, right? Like we want to end on a high note. So here's
Yes,
like
exactly.
our recommendations outside of the movies.
A palate refresher, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't we all start with just giving our favorite thing from Star Wars that we would recommend for someone to experience from any part of the franchise?
My favorite Star Wars thing, and I would put it above all of these movies, is The Mandalorian. It's not on my list of recommendations because I assume everyone and their mother's already seen it. But yes, that.
So for me, I'm going to go with a more recent Star Wars story that I finished. And I want to go with a comic because I am such a champion of Star Wars comics. But for me, Lost Stars is just a phenomenal.
Do you want to explain what that is for folks? I think The Mandalorian needs no explanation, but just in case people aren't aware.
For those who aren't aware, The Lost Stars is a 2015 Star Wars novel by Claudia Gray. It was part of the Journey to the Force Awakens line of books, and it follows 2 kids from the same planet. I'm already forgetting the name of the planet. But it follows them as they enter the Imperial Academy together and how they both get deployed in separate parts of the galaxy. But in the meantime, they completely and utterly fall in love. It's a beautifully executed love story. But one of them becomes disillusioned with the Empire and joins the rebellion. The other one just leans heavier into her commitment to the Empire. Jaluka, by the way, is the name of the planet they're from, I think.
They are,
anyway,
if you will, star-crossed lovers.
they are star-crossed
In the vein
lovers.
of
Time out.
Romeo and Juliet.
It's Romeo and Juliet in
Jim.
Star Wars, basically.
Jail. You
No,
get
that's
jail
what
for that.
Lost Stars is called. It's Lost
I
Stars
know,
because
I
they are
get it.
star-crossed lovers.
I
But,
get it, but jail.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
where the name came from.
I know. Jail.
All right, Jim.
It touches every major event in the original trilogy, tells it from a different perspective. You get a wonderful perspective of how the Empire reacted internally to the Death Star, and a cool little reminder that, by the way, like millions of people died on the Death Star. And that was something I realized as I was reading. I'm like, Luke Skywalker's kind of a mass murderer. Like, he killed
Pretty cool,
millions
huh?
of people that day.
Easy there, JJ.
It is a very, very, very good book. I cried so hard at the end of it because it's just, I can't recommend it enough. It's like 700 pages, so it's a very long read. But my God, it is maybe my favorite Star Wars story. It's definitely like my third favorite book of all time now. I love it. Go read it.
Jim.
I would, if you just had to tell me one thing, I'd go The Last Jedi. But since we already talked about The Last Jedi, I will pick my second thing, which is Rebels. Absolutely love Rebels. I can't even pick one season of Rebels because they tie in so well with each other that after watching the first couple seasons, it leads in to the next couple seasons, and like seasons 3 and 4 are slam dunk, like absolutely fantastic. You really feel for these characters, and like it is exactly what we needed at the time that we needed it, and it is. I wish that we would get more like that. That's why I was kind of disappointed with Resistance and the Bad Batch, because you did have the animated shows, but they didn't have the heart that Rebels had in it. And I wish we had more of that. Like, that's why people want these characters back. That's why we want the Ahsoka show, because we're going to get these characters back, because everything in that show was a slam dunk at the time, and they are still fantastic characters. And everything that we're seeing, The Mandalorian stems from this show. Book of Boba Fett stems from this show. It's like they're all centered on what they developed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've watched it 3 to 4 times now, and each time I'm just like, this is to a T perfect Star Wars. Everything you want in Star Wars. The heart, I think you nailed it. That's what's missing from the Bad Batch that I could never nail down. It's missing that heart and that soul, and that's what Rebels has. I love it so much.
JJ?
I think some of the strongest, I mean, there's so many awesome moments, and I don't like making this recommendation, and I think it'll be obvious why, but I'm going to do it anyways. But I think Galaxy's Edge, just because it's some of like the most joy that I've ever felt as a Star Wars fan. I went there with my best friend, my wife. We spent like 9 hours in there, and it was just something I never thought I would get to experience. They brought to life like so many things that you, as a fan, you were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this one day? And they did that. Like, got to build a lightsaber, got to build a droid, got to go ride the Millennium Falcon and go to Lightspeed, got to hang out in Doc Ondars, and got to go have crazy cocktails and see all these characters and just see like something growing up that not as many people as you would hoped, as far as like friends and school and stuff, were passionate about, and now it's become this huge fandom that so many people get to participate in. And I don't like making the recommendation because it's so expensive and it's not easily accessible, but it's just, when I think about my love of Star Wars, like that's some of my favorite memories, spending the day in that park with my wife and just the fun that we had there. If I have to give a runner-up that's more accessible for everyone to enjoy, probably Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader Star Wars run. I think it's like one of the best Star Wars comic runs ever. It gave us Dr. Aphra, and it's just awesome. It's so good.
And Black Chrysanthemum as well stem from that run.
Real quick, I want to say that I have like a list of things that I'm just going to rattle off that I recommend because I don't understand one. I don't know that number. I'm going to give you a bunch.
Go.
But there's a reason that I'm spending my 30th birthday in Galaxy's Edge, JJ, and you nailed it. Spending a lot of money to do that, but I don't care. Okay, my recommendations, going down the list. Anything written by Claudia Gray. So Connor, you already hit it, but
Wow.
Master and Apprentice and Leia are also top tier.
Master and Apprentice is next up for me.
It's so good.
Very excited.
The last arc of the Clone Wars, the last 4 episodes, that there is a cut of those interspersed into Revenge of the Sith, and I need to see it, but I think that that's really cool because those things are happening at the same time. So someone made a cut of those 4 episodes and Revenge of the Sith, and I gotta see it. I recommend the Ronto wrap, I recommend Blue Milk, and I recommend the Fuzzy Tauntaun. I also recommend rope dropping and or buying a Lightning Lane Genie Plus reservation for Rise of the Resistance because it's the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Done. Also, last thing, if you want merch, Far Far Away Factory. I'm going to show you this. This is so cute. This is a postcard I got in my order from Brooke, who is one of my mutuals on TikTok. We follow each other, and I adore her. She's brilliant. I recommend following her. But Far Far Away Factory, excellent. I got this sweatshirt from them. It's Obi-Wan Mullet Fan Club. On the back, it says hello there. And the other thing I bought is this t-shirt that you guys have to see. It is a minimalist Ahsoka and Maul dual t-shirt. It is the comfiest thing in the world.
It's Far Away Factory?
Far Far Away Factory.
It's a great shirt.
It's a great shirt. I plan on wearing this on my 30th
Is this
birthday,
an Etsy store?
Life Day. She has an Etsy store, but she also has a website. And that's where I got the clothes. She has great stickers as well on her Etsy shop.
Looking at it now.
But
she does have a cool shop.
yeah, it's really, really good stuff. I highly recommend. She's good people, so I recommend that. And I'll be wearing that t-shirt on my 30th birthday / Life Day at Galaxy's Edge because I love it very, very much. I'm done.
I would also like to rattle off a few really quickly. Specific arc of Dr. Aphra Volume 1. Go check out Unspeakable Rebel Superweapon. I believe it's a 6 or 7 issue arc. Probably my favorite of all of Dr. Aphra. It's fantastic. Go read A Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. It's part of the High Republic Initiative. It's a middle grade book, but it is a really, really heartfelt book about how we all deal with grief. And it's weirdly heartfelt. I love it. Go read Greg Pak and Raphael Ioneco's recent Darth Vader run. Like JJ said, Kieran Gillen's run kicked it all off back in 2015, but this most recent run actually makes some of the Rise of Skywalker make more sense.
I'm
which I think
gonna
is
back
getting
Connor's take because that comic run is awesome and the artwork's
phenomenal.
incredible.
Yeah, I wrote a long article for APT about why that book deserves to be nominated for all the Eisners because it is so good, and it can make it'll make people's disdain for the Rise of Skywalker sting a little bit less because it at least tries to explain some of the things that happen in that movie. And then, of course, go read all the High Republic Initiative. It's a wonderful publishing initiative. I love those books so very much. And then, obviously, to piggyback on Rebels, everyone should watch Rebels, but also read the comic book Kanan the Last Padawan. Gives a really good origin story to Kanan, part of which gets retconned by the Bad Batch, which I didn't love. But it's a really, really good story and also ties a lot into Order 66 and really what happened. So, those are some quick recs from me.
I had asked everyone to come up with 5. I have 11. A lot of them are duplicates of what you guys said. I'm going to double down. I agree. Galaxy's Edge, absolutely fantastic. Rise of the Resistance, one of the best Disney rides ever. The Last Jedi, Rebels, video games, Knights of the Old Republic, the original one, still the best video game I have ever played. Absolutely love it. And Republic
Remake
Commando. It's probably the second best game. Lost Stars, have to recommend. And then for anyone who wants to read some of the older stuff, the original Thrawn trilogy, the first book series that came out when they first started to do this whole Star Wars expanded universe thing back in the early 90s. Absolutely love it. Still great story. Obviously it doesn't follow with canon now, but it's still just a great story.
Yeah, it's awesome. I back that. It's a great series. All right. I think that is going to do it for our 100th episode. We made it to triple digits, guys. Congratulations.
It's going to completely mess up our ranking.
Congratulations, my friends.
We have more than quadrupled the amount of episodes we thought we would get to.
Connor, thanks for being here, buddy.
Quick the math on that one.
Yeah, it took me a minute to do the math. No, thanks for having me, guys. I know I'm not officially part of the show anymore, but I love the fact that you guys constantly welcome me back. I think you upgraded. Nicole's incredible. Brings a wonderful perspective to the show, and I like joining and joking around with her. So Nicole, you're the man. But no, 100 episodes is dope. I was laughing with friends last night. I'm like, yeah, like this podcast I helped start, it's hitting 100 episodes. They're like, really? I'm like, I know. It's kind of crazy. It's cool. It's awesome to start once a month and then move to a weekly schedule and somehow keep that content going, especially when we were like when we started doing it once a month, we were like, what are we even going to talk about? Now, even when I hop on to guest host, it's like, we got to cut some stuff. We could talk forever. So it's awesome. And I love the fact that it's still going on, and it's very, very cool to be a part of.
Very glad to have you back. Very glad to have Nicole with us. It's been a very fun 3+ years doing this show. And to everybody that's listened throughout that, thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. We hope you enjoy it because we enjoy doing it. And hopefully we'll keep doing it for a while, as long as you listen anyways. So thank you again to everyone that helps support us. We really, really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. I think we're going to get out of here because I got to go to Home Depot and buy stuff.
Yeah.
There's mice that got into my car. It was bad. But
Oh,
that's
in the
a
car?
Tale. Yeah,
That's
that's
bad.
a tale for another day. The
mouse
horror,
tail.
Yeah,
American
the horror
tale.
of my car's
American tale.
registration. I'll share that next time. But in the meantime, if you want to connect with us, you can do so on Twitter at Talkin Tauntauns. Don't forget about the giveaway that Jim mentioned at the top of the show. You can also email us, talkintauntauns at aiptcomics.com. You can also find us on aiptcomics.com for more Star Wars content and lots of other just great nerdy content in general. If you enjoy the show and you want to support it, you can do so for as little as $1 through patreon.com/aiptcomics. That is going to do it. We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.